I got loads of questions. Shitloads.
Yes.
Yeah. Chudley gets the questions all the time.
And Mike gets loads, doesn't he?
Yeah. A lot of them are shit. Some of them are actually really good.
Yeah. Well, we'll just hammer through some questions. I think, although it's nice to have a set topic, it is just nice to fire through people's questions because that's what they're listening for, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
let's just do that then.
Yeah.
What questions?
Yeah, man. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, because there was nothing went on in bodybuilding last weekend, did it? There was no. Well, I suppose I was at the Amateur Olympia one at the weekend in Alicante.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Mate, I tell you what, lads, right? I have never seen such a busy, stacked show in my entire life. Insane, right? Like, literally, every men's physique class, from the very shortest upwards, you were talking 20 plus competitors, all very impressive in every class. The classic guys the next day, I think there was upwards of 30 in all of the height classes. Fucking God knows how long it went on for. The stage was good, setup was good. The quality, I mean, obviously, they give out 3 pro cards, don't they, at that Amateur Olympia. So that's why it's so popular.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Talk about a hard show to do. Wow.
So they give 1 to classic, 1 to bodybuilding, 1 to men's physique.
No.
Class.
Men's physique get 3, bodybuilding get 3, classic gets 3.
Oh, so short,
it's
medium,
top
tall,
3
they all
in
get
the
it.
overall.
3 in the overall, so everybody goes through the
Fucking
overall.
hell.
So that's why it's so popular, yeah. Insane. But obviously the downside to that is everybody goes.
The production looks phenomenal, doesn't it? Like the stage, the lighting, the way they've set it up looks great.
Olympia, especially compared to what we've got down here.
The actual venue is it's like it's in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing else there. We pulled up and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Where are we? But you walk in, big clothes stalls, food places, cheap meal place, and then you walk through the venue and it's just like, wow, all the lighting's perfect. The seating area is good. It only cost me, I think I got a VIP ticket so I could really see James and Seb, but it was only 60 quid for the VIP ticket, and you were like right behind the judges. Then there was like a gold one, then there was silver at the top. It wasn't rammed in the seating area like I thought it would be, to be honest, but it was like every class, the quality was insane.
Ain't a lot of the European shows that like style are a bit more out there, ain't they?
Could you get backstage, Hilly?
No, you had to have a backstage pass, but they could come out round the side dead easy. So you didn't really need to be backstage. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there was many people in Brother because it wasn't so like James and Seb could just pop round this little corner where I was in the seating area. We were just on the opposite side of the barrier, so it was a very good setup. Very good setup. Like I say, I mean, it's not cheap to do. I think it was 300 euros to register for a class. But obviously that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest amateur show in Europe of the year, I gather.
300 per person.
Yeah.
That's good because it eliminates people from jumping 6 classes.
Yeah. And not just that, you've got 3 chances of getting a card there, hence the cost, hence the popularity, do you know what I mean? You don't get that nowhere else.
Would you feel the same if you got your pro card being top 3 than it would be to win?
In a quality of show that much, yeah, because you've got other shows that's much smaller. Like you've got other shows much smaller, right? There's like 2 in the short class, 3 in the bigger class, 5 in one class. So you've got a much easier chance of getting through the overall, depending on who's in your class. Whereas this, like, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. On Saturday night, Cal's client, Sheridan. So Sheridan looked nuts, right? Insane physique, as we all know. He's won almost every show he's done this year. Well, he's won every show, sorry, hasn't he? He only came 5th there. Mate, like, that short class is usually quiet, isn't it? There was 22 jacked, sliced, mate, the quality of that. And that's usually a quieter class, is my point, you know what I mean? We stood there and they were just bringing them out in 5s. We were like, what the fuck's going on here? And everybody was good. I don't just mean the top 5 were good. The 5 to 10 were okay. Mate, it was, well, look how impressive his physique is. And he was 5th. So it tells you how good it was, mate. It was unbelievable. And every class was like that. Like Seb came 4th and he looked insane. And
so Seb was 1 away from getting the pro card?
No. So Seb came 4th in his class. You had to win. You have to win your class, and then the top 3 in the overall get the cards.
Okay.
Yeah, they
understood,
rejudge the
yeah.
overall race. So they do a first, second, and third in the overall of all of the height classes. So like classic will have, let's say, 5 people in the overall, and they rejudge it again, and then the top 3 get their pro card.
That's a good way to do it.
So when you look at it from a
That
stats
I'll
point,
tell you what, that Instagram fucking video ruined me of that AJ Kelly saying where are all the brothers, and the person he videoed was Seb.
typical, isn't it? Typical.
Yeah, Seb looked nuts, but what we're doing now with Seb is, so he's going to go and do Poland this weekend. And as I always like to do, use every situation to see if we can be better. So I was like, right, the kid was so bone dry, it was nuts. Have you seen that video on his Instagram? Like, we absolutely into it. We knew he could be fuller, but you know when you're just not sure how much. His condition here, look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was mental. Yeah.
So I was like, right, he weight hasn't moved much all day. Eat. Kid fell asleep in the all-you-can-eat sushi place, right? And then I got him to eat again on Sunday. Woke up yesterday, 13.12. Showed he was 13.5. So he's £9 up, and he's just as lean as that. Off it. So what I'm going to do this week, because no one in his class was anywhere near as sliced as he was. He just got beat by 3 bigger kids. So what we're going to do this week, I'm not going to dry him out, load him up. We're just going to, every day, he's going to train at 3 o'clock, is it? Because that's what time he'll be on stage, 4 o'clock their time. And I'm going to manipulate the look so he can keep his morning weight at 13.9 or 13.10, £5 over last time. And then I'm going to adjust his fluid every day up to the time he trains and find out where his best look was, because he looked insane on Monday at about 14 stone, which is £9 up. I've never seen anybody be able to gain £9, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he looks just as good.
Looks still look dry as fuck. Yeah.
Nuts. Wait, I'll dig this out here. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
No one else could do it. I've never seen anybody's body have the ability to do it, ever. Like, no one.
Zero spill as well, wasn't it? There was no spillage or anything.
Mate, look at this here, right?
I don't think Seb ever spills.
No, this is my point. So this is right. So he walked 13.10. At this moment, this is 5:30 tonight, and he's had 4 litres of fluid, and he's just trained. So he's 13.13 here, which is £9 up on show day.
Yeah, wicked.
And he still looks like that. I'm like,
I'd roll him in. I'd even take him to the gym before he gets on stage and get a session in.
just absolutely nuts. Like when I wake up pretty dry, me, right? But as soon as I put water in and food in, I tend to start losing stuff. But this kid, let me just dig this thing out here, because it's. But this is why I like to use every opportunity to learn. Most people just post show, they're like, just eat what you want, drink what you want. Do you know what I mean? Where I was like, let's keep a close track on it. Let's see how heavy you get, log your weight. Let's see if we can make you look better. Because look at this here.
He did an AJ to him after the show, salmon and rice.
Like, we know we need to be a bit dry in this, but considering he's £9 up show day morning, and this is just post gym at home in the lighting.
Yeah, no tannin, nothing. Yeah, wicked.
Yeah.
The drink as well, isn't it?
This is 5 litres of water now.
Yeah.
He still looks like there's more to go there as well.
I know. That's the nuts thing.
He's got such a dense back, man. Comparable to a lot of the men's physiques, they don't have the density. Like James has a very typical men's physique back. Seb's got loads of muscle back there.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
You see that separation he's got between his, what's it called, bro? His hip here, where he's just put his hand.
Yeah, the oblique line.
That separation there's mad. It looks like it's not even part of his body, because it's like cut.
You can see though from his back shot, the way his ass cuts into the back of his lower erectors is nuts. They're like fucking lumps.
Yeah, it's like separate pieces, bro. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's sick.
We're trying to find the balance, because this was when he woke up. So can you see the midsection is much drier there?
Oh, 100% better there, yeah.
But and that was still 13.10, so that's still £5 over what he was last time. So we just need to find a balance of trying to keep his midsection like that, with a little bit more fullness that holds till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when he's on this time. It's not 12, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do you want to get on to questions, boys?
Yeah, well, I.
Yeah. Shall I start?
Let's do it.
Right, the last
questions,
one
kid,
that's
get
come
on.
through now, one that's just come through now. Top 5 amateur bodybuilders you know that can turn pro. So from people that we know, top 5, or just like 5 in any order, I guess. Can we just like give one each sort of thing, like go in turn?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
Connor.
go on then.
I'm gonna go Connor.
Connor who?
I know he'd
Connor
be
Fairburn.
Fairbairn.
Connor Redchan?
No, Connor
Fairbairn.
Fairbairn.
Connor Fairburn.
You know Connor.
Yeah.
I'm going to go that nutty-looking young kid, Jack Eagles. I really hope he doesn't stay in Classic, man. There's not many people that have that lines, and there's obvious that his body just wants to hold daft density. Like, you can see it wants to be big, so I really hope he pushes it and just takes some mad shapes open, man.
Yeah, because I think he could blow the fuck up.
He looks big. I saw him at the PCA. He looks big.
Who do you think you need?
Are we talking about someone in the next year or two, or
Like now,
Yeah.
who could turn?
I don't know. In bodybuilding, I'm going with Deck. Deck will be close next year. There you go.
You're not allowed to mention people on the podcast, bro.
Oh, no one said that. I don't know, to be honest.
Josh Law?
Yeah. There's a few that are close, but there's no one that now stands out to me as a definite, to be honest.
And the thing is, there's a lot of like, has anyone noticed there's like a changing of the guard? Like, you know, there's that generation of them. Let's call it Jordan Gomez's generation that has like the Josh Law and those guys have always been like up there, Joe Bollinger. There's like another level of like younger people coming in now that are like, these motherfuckers have got it, you know? There's that. Oh, is it Josh Dougal? There's a blonde kid. He looks like Hitler's dream son. He's got blonde hair, blue eyes, big lad. He's like 12. Have you seen him?
No.
I'll
Who
find him.
could turn pro?
I mean, I'd say Connor's been knocking on the door for a while now, and I reckon he's improved because I chat to him quite a bit.
Look at it.
Move it closer.
He's
Oh, that
265 pounds here, and he's like 12.
He's very good, but I don't think he'll turn pro like now.
No, it will be a while.
I think Luca Polo will turn pro.
Matt
Yeah,
Farmer.
that's a good shout, Luca.
Yeah,
Luca Polo.
Luca Polo right now. Yeah, he's competing in 2 weeks. I think he'll win his pro card. Portugal, I think.
Matt can do it, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think Barmer can do it as well.
That's what I'm saying, Matt.
Yeah, I just don't think he wants to compete this year in
Oh, does he not?
2 bros. So no, he wants to just do the PCA
I think
shows.
that Luca Polo's. I think he's special, that Luca Polo. Like like when you look at like his ceiling of potential as well. Like he will go. I always said the same about Jordan Gomez. It's all well and good going pro card, but when you put them in the ranks as well, like they are going to do damage.
Yeah.
That Luca can go and go and go and go.
But he's only 26.
Not just that, he can see in his structure there is room for so much more there.
Oh,
And I think he's got one of those shapes where it doesn't matter how big he gets, his lines will stay, his look will stay. He will just get better as he gets bigger, that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people you can look at and be like, you have a ceiling, you have a limit. Whereas I just look at that kid structure and I'm like, there is no ceiling for you there like me.
Don Valley, if he brings it.
I was literally going to mention. He messaged me last night because he's hurt his hamstring, so I was chatting to him about it because he messaged me. And I reckon if he puts it together, because that motherfucker's never dieted properly, he's never stuck to a fucking diet. So I think he's got his shit together now. So yeah.
Yeah, bro. I honestly reckon
his last photos he put up yesterday. He's got that. He's basically a black white man, isn't he? Like he's got that bubbliness to his physique you just don't see in a white dude. And like honestly, like I've trained with him multiple times in you can't quite grasp his density until you're like kind of next to him. He's just literally like a balloon. But you are right. I always think like there is a level of conditioning for these pro cards these days. I think there are people that can't get to that level of conditioning, like if that makes sense. Like they don't have the psychological or the minerals or got it in their locker to do it. I just hope he does do it so it's not a waste of talent.
Yeah,
agreed.
I think we don't normally give a lot of props to the females, right? But Romana, Dan's missus, she was on the fucking money. Yeah?
She looked incredible at the weekend.
I think hands down, you can say no one in the UK, no one else has come second at their first pro qualifier.
Small but mighty.
Second at a pro show, sorry. Second at a pro show.
Yeah, I think she did, didn't she?
Did she? Really?
In her pro debut, yeah, she's now like I still think this is taking nothing away from Romana. Like she's nuts. I think from females we've got, I think Small but Mighty is the top tier. I think at the moment, but it's definitely close between the two. Do you know? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on, Dick.
I was just gonna say what was really impressive with that Romana is like how fast she came in. Like she went from like okay, she's on her way to prep to absolutely fucking dice in a blink of an eye.
Bro, the side shots, yeah. Oh my.
She's an athlete. She's not. You know, she's done that all of her life. Not bodybuilding, but sports and high level.
The condition was impeccable. It was.
Bro, the condition was, mate. To them girls who do that, what does she do? Is it women's physique? Mm-hmm. Them women, they come in slice, bro. To stand there in your first year as a pro and come second, quite fucking impressive.
I'm sure Dan said there was only 1 point in it as well. I think there was 1 point in it or something. She was close.
Yeah, it was very, very close.
I thought she was going to win it. I was watching it. I thought she was going to win it. I truly did.
Yeah, it was very, very well. It was 1 point. That's how close it was. Do you know what I mean?
And just to put it out there as well, a lot of people they moan about their work shifts. Yeah, she works 12-hour fucking shifts, 14-hour shifts, still competes over broad and wins. So no one's got an excuse. Do you know what I mean?
Have you seen the top two women in that division? They don't even look human, man. Like they are like feminine, super attractive, but just fucking jacked, man. They look mental. They were on I think they were on like the Dennis James podcast, and he popped like the top two up. I don't know their names, but just look at them, man. They don't even look human. It's mental.
Oh, bro, the women's physique is my favourite division. I think it's the best division.
Yeah.
Do you know, just in general at the moment, actually, in all of the classes, to be fair, there are some phenomenal female athletes across the board, in fairness. There was a girl at the weekend, right, one of Stefan's clients, Stefan, do you know the guy that...
Yeah, she was wicked.
Mate, right, so that was her first show, I think. She won the juniors, the novice, her height class, the overall, and got a fucking pro card, mate. Bump.
That's special, isn't it?
Mate, talk about a clean up off the bat. She just had medals swinging about all over her, man.
Do you know what I realise with a lot of females? When they get lean, you can see that muscle in their leg. I forget the name of it. It runs down the side of your leg. You can see it on women, the whole entire way. And it's just,
why is it as well? You know, it's the IT band, isn't it? Why does their IT band pop up so pronounced comparable to men's? It's weird, isn't it? You don't see that in men like you do in females.
The more muscular you get, the less you're going to see it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know whether it might be their hips as well, because their hip bones are wider. Maybe that means that there's something to do with the shape of that. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Because obviously, a woman's hips are made to obviously give birth, right? So it's going to affect something, isn't it?
Well, they've got a wider hip bone. So I just wonder if maybe that's got something to do with the more definition, or God knows. But like you said,
not just females. Sam Meads also have childbearing hips.
Yeah, but Sam Meads got small arms. Don't talk about him.
Sorry.
When girls get in condition, look at Corin. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that ever beat Corin's condition. Do you know what I mean? And I do think, because a lot of, and I say this about several of my female clients, when you have hard-working clients, like Corin, like my clients, Shelley, Bethan, like that Ramona and Spot, like those women have a capability to suffer and work hard that most of us just don't, and that's why they get that condition. It's a fucking fact.
I agree.
Do you think as well, because look, a lot of females use gear, right? It's nothing to be hidden. Do you know, because they're jabbing such a small amount, they don't really damage the muscle tissue as much as us lot do. Because we're jabbing like 1.5 in the delt, 3 in the glute. You do lose detail, right?
Very possible. Very likely, actually. Very likely, yeah.
There's that other woman, isn't there? Michaela Laycock. She's a fucking monster, man. Her glutes and leg when she's peeled is off it.
Yeah, different levels and levels. Yeah.
Who's what's his name? Is it Terence? Who's his missus?
Yeah, mate. She looks wild, doesn't she?
You know who I'm on about. One who works with that guy who's on the JP Forum ages ago, man.
Hyacinth Nassar.
She's fucking different level, bro. The quads on it. Anyway, next question.
How much testing?
I got a good one.
Oh, go on.
It's quite a funny one, but it really did make me laugh. Out of all of the lads, would you go with no pets for a year or no vapes?
No dates.
No vapes.
No vapes. I just smoke fags instead.
Vapes.
Shit.
Chun-Li's at the crossroad.
He doesn't know. No vapes for me. I'd do me a favour knocking them on the head.
Yeah, me.
Wrong. So that's fucking tough, innit?
Oh, bro, if you couldn't vape, I'd just smoke fucking fags, bro. I didn't fuck. I don't care, bro.
Man, do you know?
I get bang on the roll-ups, man.
And the rollies.
Man's just because I'm still so fucking hungry all the time. For fuck's sake.
Well, if we can take growth and land this,
Chubby's going into depth for you.
I'm trying to work a way around it. Yeah, but what? So it says no pets, so that means we can't use anything, right?
Yeah.
It's a deep question.
Bro, I'm not packing the peds in. Not a fucking chance now.
That's all that, bro.
We're gonna have to give up the vape.
Yeah, the vape's gonna have to go. I got a question here as well, actually. But go on, Judge, didn't you have a question there?
Yeah, go on. We'll do one each. We'll do one at a time.
This guy. Where is it? Here it is. Question. What's your take on injectable AMINOS, pre-workout and fat burners?
Well, what amino comes in?
I love them. I think Savage Supplements, I know obviously there's an issue with them at the moment and stuff, but they did a super pump, which was ATP, arginine, L-carnitine, and I maybe even creatine in it. I'm telling you now, that stuff pinned its site was...
It's ATP.
AMP. ATP, AMP.
Because creatine...
Arginine and...
Creatine turns into ATP.
That's it. And I'm telling you now, when you pin that stuff at site and trained, the pumps were ridiculous. I remember pinning my chest and driving to the gym with like my tits on the steering wheel. I could just feel them and getting pumped on the way there.
I sent Hilly my last bottle of that I had for myself. The what's it called? Pump and Shred.
Yeah, no, it was Super Pump.
Super Pump. Okay.
Yeah,
we will be releasing one soon on my brand. A straight copy.
I think it's a bit like I don't think there's much space for injectable aminos, me personally. Like with all of the other stuff we have to pin, I wouldn't want to be going OTT and stuff like that. But a mixture like that, if I'm already taking injectable yohimbine, then if there is the potential to get the same amount of yohimbine with other stuff in it, and like I say, I have run that product and I did notice an increase in pump, so I was impressed. But I've seen a lot of other
could be good.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of other injectable amino stuff, and I inject enough as it is. I personally don't see the warrant for it personally.
Yeah, L-carnitine, growth, Lantus, PEDs. Fucking hell, when did you stop, man?
Yeah.
You if any of you boys got any experience with Helios?
Never used it.
You know, it's the injectable Clen and Jihim by Mix, isn't it? You guys use that?
I used it a long time ago. The Clen definitely worked in it. The yohimbine might have done, but I never noticed any spot reduction from it at all.
I just think if you can take it orally, why bother? having to inject another thing, it's like.
I think the injection part's more of a gimmick at times than anything else. Do you know, like, oh, I'm injecting something, it'll work better. Or
I think what's happened is people have got confused. I think injecting everything's better, but it's not, because some things are just absorbed okay via your mouth.
Yeah. And I'm always scared with the Clen, because Clen's a risky one, because that's an MCG. So how accurate are they at measuring it? Like, am I going to trust some dodgy, like, underground lab to measure my shit? Like, I don't know. With tabs, at least you're a little bit more. Well, you're not, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree, because they had the little droppers, didn't they? Do you remember they used to do the blends and the droppers of
They still do
the
them.
Clen, and that was one bottle would be felt like 9 million MCG of Clen, and the other felt like 10.
Yeah, well, you can't. Yeah, you can't compare. You can't change each compound. So for me, it's a pointless product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Because you have to take 75 MCG if you want to take 100 Clen, for example, and you're just fucked, bro.
Yeah, that's true as well, isn't it? You can't dose it how you want.
Well, one of my clients sent me, he got a tablet mix from somewhere, and it was like 60 micrograms of Clen, 10 micrograms of Yohambine, 30 micrograms of T3, and something else. And I was like, I don't like it because I wouldn't want you to start on all of those doses at the same time.
I think that was me, wasn't it, Hilly?
No, it was a kid the other day. It was a kid the other day. It was recent.
It's a drop kit. Adelphi does that.
Nah,
They all
Helix
do
does one as
drops.
well.
Yeah.
Well, Helix does an oral version that has albuterol in as well as Clen, and it's got some like mad appetite suppressant in. But I remember, I think it was the last prep, Hilly, we put it in. You were like, "Deck, this shit ain't fucking working. Your weight's inconsistent. Something's not right." We dropped it out, went back to standard T3 Clen, and the weight just went brum.
That's sibutramine. Is that sibutramine?
That's it. Yeah, sibutramine. That's it. Yeah.
I've never used it, but I've seen a lot of people talk about it. Yeah.
I know it was really popular around our way with girls at one point because it just basically makes you forget to eat. Very much like that new Semaglutide, whatever it's called. But if you research it, if you just type that sibutramine into Google, right, it's like banned from use in like 26 countries or something. It was giving people palpitations. It was affecting them mentally, and I kid you not, because one of my old girlfriends and all her mates were taking it. It sent them all scatty.
What's that? Semaglutide?
No, sibutramine.
No, sibutramine.
Oh, sibutramine.
It makes me feel really sick. Like a real like pungent nausea in your belly. Like every time you almost felt like you need to eat, it would just make you feel very, very sick.
It makes your stomach feel hollow, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird feeling, yeah.
No good for us, I don't think. No good for us.
Chudley, what was your question?
See, on prep, I hate not being hungry, if that makes sense. Like, you know, when you take stuff to, like, not be hungry, I don't like that feeling.
I like being hungry. I focus better on hungry.
I prefer...
There must be a...
Yeah.
I think there must be a downside effect of not being hungry. I bet you don't digest it as good. Surely.
It's very possible that. Very likely.
Very true.
The other thing is, for me, because I was discussing this at the weekend with someone, a lot of these drugs that suppress your appetite, it's not a permanent effect. So a couple of my mates' wives were taking that Semaglutide, whatever it's called, and they were paying a fortune for it from one of these beauty clinics. And they all reported after 8 weeks, they put the weight back on they'd lost and it wasn't working anymore. It seemed.
You're not learning discipline.
You've got to go up in dosage with it. And also, when you stop it, your appetite rebounds back up. Because you're now 20 pounds lighter and your body's like, well, because you lose it so quick.
Yeah.
So
there's some really good studies on it. I looked into it. They compared it to gastric bypass, and the success rate's basically just as good.
Yeah,
that's people who are morbidly obese, aka very fat and lazy. It's okay for them, but for normal people, I don't think you need it, man. Just control your mouth.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what ends up happening is you lose your appetite so much you can't eat at all. So what you can eat is you can stomach just like junk food. So you end up under eating on the protein. So you just end up skinny fat.
Yeah, eating shit macros, isn't it?
Yeah. So you lose weight, but how much of that weight is actually muscle? So you just end up like just looking skinny fat.
What I've found with certain things, and I have to be careful using modafinil. I'm a huge modafinil fan. I've been using it for a long time, well before it became popular. But even with that, I find if I take a 200 mg dose at once, I end up that focused on my work. I forget to eat, and then I've got to compound my meals. So then taking something like sibutramine or that semaglutide, like if for us, we really want to be eating our meals on time every 3 hours. And if we end up forgetting to eat, then you've got to start squashing your meals in. Does that then have a knock-on effect with digestion? Are you missing meals? There's way more negatives than there is positives for me. I tell you where I do see a benefit, and I was talking with Jordan about this earlier, where I'm at now in a rebound, because my food's on the
100%.
lower side. My appetite, I am more focused on my next meal now than I was in prep. And yes, like my food's still pretty low. I'm still doing cardio. I'm still very lean. But I'm like thinking about my next meal the moment I finished that one. So I do think actually if there's ever a benefit to it, it might actually be post-show, to be honest. But again, I think that part of this challenge is being able to shut your mouth and control your fucking appetite, to be honest. And if you
Well,
can't
that's
do
what I
that,
was going to say. It's just be a fucking adult, isn't it? You're not a child. They just fucking don't eat food.
Yeah, legit. People are so stupid, man. People lazy, bro. Swear down. If you can't fucking control your mouth, bro, you can't use semaglutide the rest of your life. Idiots.
Scissors all sat here vaping. And this was the biggest appetite suppressant for me.
I think it takes a
Nicotine is
few
though,
rounds
innit?
of fucking it on your diet. I think it takes a few rounds of really fucking on your diet till you realise that, like, it just feels better to look in shape and feel in shape than it does feeling spilled over and watery. And I think it takes a few preps and a few times of being lean to really think this is a much better place for me, you know?
But it's like me now. Like, my sleep's still not back to normal. I'm still super hungry all of the time. But every Tuesday morning, like this morning, when I take my pictures, I'm like, do you know what? This is
It's
worth
worth
being
it.
hungry, this. Like, I am 12, 13 pound over stage weight, and I still look fucking nutty lean here. So, you know, it's like, it is worth putting that effort in. It's worth the suffering, because my training strength's coming back. I'm hoping AJ is going to up my food now, because I'm about ready where I can be pushing. But every time I look at them pictures, I'm like, fuck me, as if I still look that lean, do you know what I mean?
What was your question, Chudley, bro?
How much testy should I start with per week? All of it,
We
bro.
don't,
Take all of it.
don't know who you are, bro.
No, exactly. So when
First
you ask
timer or?
the first time, yeah, it's not saying. It just says how much. So you know, how many cycles have you done? How big are you? You know, that you can't really answer that. So
What puts you over the natural range by at least 3 times, or it's pointless?
So I just had this conversation with an older client today. So for me, how much you should take in an ideal world, get your testosterone level checked first, right? Because if you're at 10, right, then maybe it is worth taking 200 mg, because 200 mg in theory should put you at 40. So that's putting you, what, 3 or 4 times over? But if you're sat at 25 or 26, then in my opinion, it isn't worth it going to 40. You're not going to see the benefit. So I suppose if you wanted a scientific, you know, factual data, look, the other thing is, and this is what I'm explaining today, is that, and I think we've discussed this before, as soon as you take any dose of these drugs, you shut your own system down. So there's a negative, right? Every time you shut your system down, you run the risk of not being able to get it back. Now, it's a small risk, but it's a risk. Every time you stab yourself in the arse or the leg, you run a small risk of getting an infection, right? So these are all small risks, but they are risks. Do you want to go through all of those risks, spend the money on the drugs, the pain of injecting, to put yourself barely over the natural range, and then in 6 weeks down the line go, well, I would have expected more than this. Like, I thought I was going to blow up like everybody else in the gym. Like, there has to be a bit of a common sense factor there. If we know by medical research that there is little difference to no difference in toxicity between 150 mg, 300 mg, 450 mg, then for me, logically, why would I want to run those risks that I mentioned to be barely over natural? Do you know what I mean? I want to be taking enough that I actually see the results to outweigh the negatives, first and foremost. Then I want to see the results to improve my motivation, improve my physique, and make it warranted. And in reality, I want other people to notice them as well. There isn't any blue fucking tick like you get on Instagram because you took the tiniest amount and no one noticed you taking steroids. Like,
do you know what I hate? You know when people go, I'm going to start on 250 to see how my body reacts. And I'm always like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean how my body reacts? You're already fucking producing testosterone. It's like, your body's already making it. So just get on a decent fucking dose, shut the fuck up, and run a fucking cycle.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's also when you recover the best as well, isn't it? So like, I know I'm very different to the industry in this sense, and it doesn't mean I'm slapping first timers on a gram of gear, but I thoroughly believe in the sense of potentially using multiple compounds as long as the client's not a moron, in the sense of when it is your first cycle, you are far better at recovering. You can utilize those drugs a lot better for the first time. And I think if there is a time to potentially start at, say, 250 meg and then increase to 400, then potentially introduce another compound, it would be on your first cycle, because you know when you drop to a cruise or a PCT, if someone opt to do that, you know you're going to recover at a much faster rate than like someone like me or any of you guys that have been blasting and cruising for 3-4 years.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, for like 2 or 3 decades, everybody just started on 500 mgs a test. That was just the way it was. And that Broderick Chavez posted something before saying, there is research to show that going to that dose has some advantage on muscle fibers or something than being lower. So for me, that was just always what everybody did. Now, does that mean that's what we should always do? No. And also doesn't mean that you should be a moron and make yourself natural. I've actually seen someone come to me for a consultation. Their natural test was 26. They listened to some moron on Instagram saying they should start on 150 meg or 125 meg. And when they got their bloods done, they were actually sat at 23. So they'd actually made themselves worse.
Listen to Dr. Dean too much, but talking bullshit.
Yeah. I was like, you've actually, I said, we explained it to this kid, like, you've actually made yourself worse. He was like, how is that possible? I was like, just, if you're going to take the steroids, you want to get the benefit from taking the steroids. So for me, I would always want to be between 300 and 500 meg. Where you decide to go depends on a lot of factors. How long have you been training? Personal decision of how aggressive do you want to be? Where are you planning to go in the future? And then, like Dex says, what are you doing with that 500 meg? Very much depends on the client. If I've got maybe an older guy or someone that's maybe just a lifestyle client that just wants a bump, might just be just test. If I've got someone that's into bodybuilding or into CrossFit or, is more educated, is more serious, then I'd be looking at testing mass, testing primo, being a bit more.
I think it's so person dependent. If a client comes to you, listen, mate, I'm 22, my first cycle, but I need to win the show this year. I want to get a sponsorship. They'll be like, cool, bro, we're using everything. You know what I mean? It's such a broad question, isn't it?
Well, like I've said this before, and it's a couple of podcasts ago. I hate it when people start, my coach has put me on this, what do you think? Do you know, like on the forum or someone, because you don't know what that client said to that coach. Exactly like what you said there is, I've had some people come to me and say, listen, Eddie, I know from watching you here, watching you there, you're the man that knows about drugs. And I know I haven't taken anything before, but I want to compete next year. I want you to use all of your knowledge in the healthiest way possible to fucking get at it and make the most progress. So his first cycle is going to be different to a 40-year-old bloke that's like, hey, I just want to bump my physique a bit, bump my performance, but I want to stay healthy. Like they're both first-time users, they're both new clients, but it's going to look drastically different because what is the most important is what they want from the cycle and what they are telling me my instructions are. I am not their boss. It's not a dictatorship.
What they're paying for.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's not up to me to say, no, you're not going to use this.
Yeah.
I think you should use that. It's for me to guide within their remit. Coach, well, if that's what you want to do, this is the best way to do what you want to do. This is the healthiest way. This will get the most. Not, well, I'm not working with you if you won't take any more than this. Like, fuck off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't hire a coach to tell me what to do. I hire a coach to tell me the best way of achieving what I want in the most healthiest manner.
On to the next one, boys.
And to add on that,
You go on.
Just to touch on that, if you're one of those clients that kind of want to push the boundaries, please make sure you're articulate in your feedback and you check in on time and you can give us accurate biofeedback, because I have multiple clients that say they want to do this, this, and that with the Olympia and all this sort of nonsense, especially the younger demographic. But then they can't tell me how their digestion is, how their bowel movements are, how their training is, if they've got a pump, if they're flat, full, if they've missed any shots, all that sort of stuff. Like the people who get the top tier level of service are the people that can tell me the ins and outs of their weekly performance.
Yeah. Without
Yeah.
doubt.
Next one.
Oops.
Well, good one. If
Hilly,
a client,
1 second, I can hear you tapping.
Sorry, kid.
Hilly, I'd crank your microphone up a touch.
if a
You
client
reckon?
is competing in a show, would you want them to buy you a ticket or pay for your fuel so you can go watch them? I don't.
What
Just
was that again?
If you got a client competing, would you expect that client to pay for your ticket for the show and your fuel or whatever costs you've got for you to be at the show?
Well, it
No,
depends.
but they
how much
always
you're-
do.
Yeah. No, I think it
I
depends.
don't
I think
expect them to.
if you're a coach who's charging a very large sum of money, then you fucking go there, you bastard, you lazy fuck. If you're not charging that much, then if you're not charging that much, right, then you should maybe, you know, I would never ask for money. I'd never ask for money, bro. Do you know what I mean? I didn't pay for none of Hilly shows. I got a pair of trainers afterwards. That's about it.
I kind of feel like. Sorry, Hilly, you carry on.
No, go on, Dick. You go. You were mid-sentence. Go on, kid.
I was just going to say, I kind of feel like the person that's asked this question probably hasn't competed, because I think and this is going to sound a bit weird and a bit wet, I think when you get someone to that stage and they're happy with their look, you build almost like a special bond, and I think they feel like they owe you something. And I obviously, especially with my clients, it's almost like, mate, I'll pay for your ticket, I'll pay for your fuel, I'll get you a hotel room, I'll get for your food. Obviously, I don't take any of it. Like, that's what you're paying me for. And as an instance, the last time I was up and back from Coventry 3 times in a single weekend because I couldn't stay because of work commitments. But I think any experienced client will understand the level of effort it takes for a coach to get you in shape and there, specifically with like in-person check-ins and things like that. And I think it just becomes a given, or it's at least warranted from their perspective, as is mine for Hilly. On my first show, I paid for his tickets and so on. It was because you just kind of feel like that's your position to do so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll never ask for it, but it's almost like they should do it. But I'm not going to ask for it. I'll never ask for it. You know,
It depends what the cost is, as well.
It's a funny area because the fact of the matter is, I've never had any of my coaches at my shows, and I've had clients with overalls and first places and second places all over the world without being there. So the fact is, and all coaches do, yeah. So the fact is, you don't really need to be there. In this day and age, because you see certain coaches on YouTube with their favourite athletes following them around, people feel they should get that as well. Now, some of these coaches charge an awful lot of money, right? And my prices are nowhere near where people would expect. So, and I have some long-term clients that are on older prices, yeah. So, say I've got a client, right? I've got some clients that only pay me 125 quid a month, yeah, because they've been working with me for a while. Now, say they're doing 3 or 4 shows, right? I don't need to be at all of those shows. Now, say 2 of them are in Maidenhead. For me to go to Maidenhead, right, get the train, have to stay over, that is a £400 trip. Now, if I go twice, I've coached them for free for the year. There's no sense in that, is there? So what I try and do is to make it even. If I am home and I can be there, I will do my best to be there. But there has to be a bit of a balance of, listen, I can't come to every show and you don't need me at every show. If you decide you want me at every show, and I mean, I've really never said this to a client, this is just my opinion on it, then really there might need to be some contribution. Because like I said, if you've got these coaches charging 250, 350, 400 quid a month, then it's a little bit different.
They're obliged to go, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That much.
Whereas for me, I don't charge that much. But the reality of it is, I try and go to every one of my client shows and I don't ask for any money. But I am not the coach that will say to you, I will be at every show. Because it's just, for one, it's not needed, and for two, it isn't feasible. Do you know what I mean? Not unless I said to someone, well, okay, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay me a lot more money doing so. Do you know what I mean? Because like my current pricing is only 175 quid a month. Most people don't even believe I charge that much. Most people expect more. Now, for me, I think I just found that amount fair, to be honest, and I'm comfortable with that amount. And like I say, I've got clients and others, but for me, then to bounce down the Maidenhead 3 times, I may as well have worked with that guy for free or girl for free. So, and if it's what I try and do is I try and make sure I'm at all, well, I do make sure I'm at all of the finals. When you've got lots of clients there, I'm at the bigger shows. And if I can be at a show, then I will be. And like I say, I've actually never asked a client to pay for anything. Like Dex's and Riz, most of them offer, but most is also a business expense. So for me, I don't mind. And I've never asked. But on the flip side, I don't think it's fair for a client to expect you to be at every show, because I don't believe that it's needed for you to be there. Do you know what I mean? I've never had any coach at any one of my shows ever in my life. I think a lot of the time now it's just a gimmick. People see the bigger coaches with their bigger clients at shows, and it's like, I've got my coach there as well. You don't need your hand holding. And as me and Riz know, actually, and I am quite a firm believer in this, a lot of the time being there can be worse for a coaching experience, because if you're there and the client's in front of you and they're panicking or they're, and you're all over the place. Whereas with technology now, if I'm sat with my laptop up and my phone up and the client's able to give me good feedback and I've done all my trial peaks and everything, I'm better off working at home on my phone, on the, you know, like you could argue it's better to not be there. So there's I see benefits to both. You know what I mean?
If you want to hit these clients, don't pay them. Just send them out full bottles of that AU vodka. That's what I used to do. every flavour. I don't drink, so I don't know what's what.
It also depends on the client. If there's someone that's seasoned, and if it's a first-time competitor, I think it's a lot more important to be there.
Yes.
But someone that's done it, especially if they're ready, it's like, well, what more can you really do?
And
yeah.
The other thing is, I've run 2 or 3 trials with my clients. They've gone through the process. They've got a day-by-day schedule. They know what to do. They've already done a trial show, so we've done mocks. So there isn't that much actual stress for them. And as long as they are able to give me feedback and stuff, like I say, there are athletes all over the world winning shows and their coaches are not there. It really isn't needed like people think. A lot of it in this day and age is gimmick. However, and I'm sure you guys are all of the same because you have said so, if I can be at a show with a client, I will be there. Of course.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's not also point out the blatant obvious. Like a lot of these coaches you see it in this day and age, they're using it as a marketing tool for themselves for new clients. That's their cost benefit to it. They are going there to show like, oh, I'm that coach. I turn up to every show, so they get that specific group of competitors who want their handheld, which is fine. But on the same side of it, I'm a 30-year-old man. Like I wouldn't want Hilly to come away from his daughter and his family for me to compete at a lower level PCA show. Do you know what I mean? But don't get me wrong. If I was going for a pro card, I'd say, Hilly, I'll pay for your flight. Let's get an Airbnb. Let's get twisted for a bit the day after, and let's have a bit of a weekend of it. But that's because I'm an adult. Do you know what I mean? I'm an entitled child.
So prime example. This is a perfect working example here. Seb and James. Seb competed PCA show, FitX show, a 2 Bros qualifier. I had stuff with Aminina on, and then I was competing myself, so I wasn't at those shows. Seb did change the date of his regional, so he ended up doing one the same day I was competing, so I wasn't there. James won one of those shows. Seb won the overall at the show the day I was competing, still won the overall, while I won my show. But this weekend, with them both going to a pro qualifier in Alicante, I of course went, and they both said, listen, we'll pay for the accommodation between us, we'll get your ticket, we'll pay your flight. And I was like, no. But they booked the accommodation without me even knowing, which I was very appreciative of. But then I paid for my flight, I paid for my ticket, and then because we were all friends like we are, it was like an argument. It was like an argument when we were there. Listen, I'll pay for that taxi, listen, let me pay for that, listen, let me pay for this food. And it was just like, but this is what it was. It was a group of mates and lads having a vodka, having a sushi together, sharing the taxis. You just took it upon yourself because really that's the way life should be no matter what we do.
Man went all the way to Spain to eat sushi, man. Fucking Jesus Christ, bro. Next one.
Question? judge anymore.
If you had to put £1,000 on either Ryan, Craig, or Dan becoming an IFBB pro first, who do you pick?
Ryan,
Who's Craig?
Dan or
Blade. Is Craig Blade?
Who?
Blade.
Blade.
Do you know what?
one pro first?
I'm gonna get shafted for this, but
If you have to pick between those three,
I think after this setback, Dan's gonna come back very fucking strong. I'll leave it at that.
but you're saying first. Who can turn pro first?
Look, let's be realistic. I think a ceiling of potential, by all means, you could arguably talk Dan could, but obviously he needs to bring his legs up. I think Ryan has such a big frame, and I love the bloke. I think he's a great kid. I think he's always going to be cursed by the same thing as Jamie Johal. He's not as pretty as Jamie Johal. He doesn't have the legs of Jamie Johal. And I think when you stick him in a lineup for a pro card, that potentially could be a downfall for him. I think Blade he's not as big. He may not have the same potential, but he's extremely complete and he comes in fucking peeled. And I think they look for that in a lot of these European shows, is razor sharp conditioning.
I think Ryan's better than Craig. That's just my opinion. So
I think so too. Craig's
that's no knock on Craig. I'm not saying Craig's not good.
No. Yeah, of course not. I personally think Ryan's got a better back, which that's important.
Based on how they've looked this year, I fully agree with Deck. I think potential-wise at the moment, if that's what we're talking about, who's potentially would get it first. I mean, to be honest, at this moment in time, I don't think if we're talking two bros or IFBB, I don't think any are really that close to getting an actual IFBB pro card. So I think if we just took them now and put them in a show soon, then I think Craig would be the one that would be more likely to get it. In terms of future potential, over time, potentially Dan, if he can bring his legs up.
I think Dan is the shortest of them as well, which makes it a little bit easier in my opinion.
Yeah, Dan is
they're both quite tall.
The youngest, which you got to bear that in mind as well. I tell you what, I think Ryan.
Let's just like
go on.
I think if you just look at the people who have just won pro cards recently, like if you look at Reese, Carlos, Ryan Gomez, like these guys, they are shorter, but they are compact. They are extremely muscular for their frames. And I think between all three of them, Dan's got a ludicrous back. But I think for height to frame structurally, I don't think either of them, and I'm not saying I am in any way, shape, or form, this is just my opinion, I don't think either of them are anywhere close to what those three have just done it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, fully agree. The way off.
I think Dan's very close when it comes to the upper. It's just the legs that we all know, and Dan knows that too.
Yeah,
next one.
And Ryan are more needing to cut to get their legs up. Craig needs his upper.
Yeah, but he
needs more back, more arms. And Dan and Ryan need more legs. But I think Ryan has done a lot more shows. And I think from a balance point of view, Ryan gets in shape as well.
I think Ryan's a bit bigger than Craig as well, isn't he? As in size-wise.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Ryan's about 5 to 7 pounds heavier.
Got very good arms as well, I think, for a taller bloke. They're not like stringy.
See, I think that Craig could go to two bros, classic and tall class, and fucking take the card away before.
He'll never make weight though. He's too heavy. Greg's at 250.
What? His height, his fucking cap's probably 250.
Yeah, Jamie Giant's cap was like 280.
He's 6'3", isn't he?
Yeah, so his cap for classic will be 240, 250. Massive.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Yeah.
Let's do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because either three of them can. It can depend on the day, can't it? But Or you can make an argument for either of them, I guess.
Hey, Ryan
Um,
looked very, 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 very good at that PCA overall that he won. Like, very good.
yeah.
But then you put that against some of the overalls at Two Bros, and you try to understand where does that fare, you know?
Well, have you seen, did you see the guys that on his photographs at the weekend on his page?
No.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
guys were insane.
The heavyweight guy, the bald guy with the glasses, looked absolutely spastic.
I've got a good one. What does feeling toxic feel like? I get told I should feel this on my current cycle from people at the gym, but I feel good. I'm running 1 gram of test, 1 gram of EQ, 600 trend, and 50 Superdrol.
1 gram of tren.
600 trend.
Nice heartburn, bro. Nice reflux. Yeah, a 5,000 Gaviscon.
If he's not feeling like shit, this guy is fake.
Yeah,
No,
I literally thought that. A gram of test, a gram of EQ, 600 trend, and 50 Superdrol.
Super hot for me. 50 the super would really
50 migs, fucking hell. Bruv, 20 migs fucked me. 20
Yeah.
migs fucked me.
To answer the question though, what I class as being toxic, and it sounds really weird, is I feel dirty all the time. Like I feel a bit like meh. Like I'm tired, my digestion's not great, my head feels a bit like frobby, even though my blood pressure is not high. You just feel a bit shit. Like you just feel shit.
Yeah. Like you've got the flu all the time.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think your skin as well shows that you're toxic or not.
You just feel a little bit poorly all of the time, I find. You feel just a little bit poorly all the time. The problem is, it almost becomes normal to feel like that, so it's very hard to tell. I think that you just become, that becomes your normal run drugs at that level. If you're the type of person who can handle it, you almost just become normal to feeling a bit shit. And that's where you get the really looked out for. Question?
Oh, that's a good one. I've just hired a coach, and he has me tracking blood glucose every morning, my sleep every night, body fat calipers, and my step count every day. I'm 4 days in and feel like it's over. What do you think?
When you chose the wrong coach, mate, to work with, should have checked that first.
Yeah, so
I track, bro. I track most of that shit for Martin every single day.
So,
I mean,
some coaches, yeah, have that have work that way, and you know, if that's not your preferred method, then you got to have that talk with them. Just pick someone that is a lot more simple. You know,
Hilly never used to track that shit with me. I started making my own timetable and
yeah,
started tracking it myself. And I sent it to him, but I like doing that.
I think sometimes there was a bit of an overkill. So, for instance, for me, unless a client has blood glucose issues, I don't feel there's a need to track it every day. So I have clients do Monday to Thursday or Monday to Wednesday, Friday. Blood pressure, the same. Did that say they're tracking body fat calipers every day? That seems stupid to me.
That seems a bit mad, yeah.
Yeah, now what I would do there is, if a client has a stubborn body part, so you may track love handle, glute, quad or a bicep, then I may get them to do that in every check-in. I do like clients to let me know how their sleep is over the week. I do like clients to let me know how their digestion is over the week. If there is an issue, then when was the issue? What was the issue? What happened before? But personally, for me, I think asking someone to take their blood glucose every day, their blood pressure every day, track their sleep every day, take their body fat calipers every day, making, unless there is an ongoing issue, I think that is a bit much for a normal client. And even someone like Declan is, unless we have an issue, there is, in my opinion, no need to take all of those markers every day, and that would annoy me having to do that.
I think Hilly's timing of this is pretty good as well. Like, and I can speak from that experience. Like, he would ask me for this, like, as we start to get heavy. Does that make sense? We check it, benchmark it, make sure nothing's going to skew. If it's all good, he'll say the same in 2 months' time when I put on another £10 or whatever. Like, it's not something that needs to be done daily. It's more towards, let's say, end of prep, potentially, or when we're getting super heavy where blood glucose could be skewing, all that sort of stuff. That's the time that we'll do it. So that's definitely overkill. But going back to what you said, Chuds, like, that is the client's responsibility. If you've scoped through Instagram, you've seen this guy as that sort of person, and you've decided to join with him, you are a moron if that's not what you want to do.
I think I think if you're very serious here and you're fully on this, and you can jab yourself 7 times a day, you can take Lantus, growth, all of that, and you work with a coach who says, look, mate, just weigh yourself every day, take your glucose every day, I'm sure you can't really not do it. Do you know what I mean? And if you think about it, if you see your stats from last year, let's say you track it for 5 years, you can see what it was at 240 last year in August and 240 this year. Was there a difference in your blood glucose? What was the cycle difference? More data, isn't it?
The other thing is, maybe the coach just wants it daily for the first couple of weeks. So I do this with clients. I may get them to take it daily for the first couple of weeks. And if I've got a client that might have insulin resistance or digestive issues, then I've got them doing it more often. And some clients, I'll be asking for it post meals. So obviously there's a situation dependent, but for a lot of my new clients, more advanced ones, using certain drugs or certain weights or whatnot, I may say, right, let's take your blood pressure every day for the first 2 weeks, blood glucose, let's get the averages, see where you're at. If there's no issues and everything is fine, right, let's just do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday from now on. Let's do it Monday, Thursday. If we develop an issue, we'll go back to doing it daily. But I think in general, I wouldn't be asking anybody to do it daily, but very much like you both said, you should have spoke to the coach about what he requires from his check-in process. This is a very key point, like Dexter's. When you are speaking to a coach, it is important that you find out what they are going to want from you that they feel maximizes their job. So, what are you going to be required to provide as a client? Because if that is out of your reach, then there is no point in you wasting the coach's time or their time. And again, that comes down to really, it's your responsibility. It is the coach's responsibility to say, listen, this is how I work, this is what I demand from a client, this is the way the process works. It is very much your responsibility as a client to also ask what is going to be required of yourself. What are the coach's standards? What are you going to be expected to adhere to? And if you can't do that, that is not the coach's fault. That is really your fault.
I do think, though, a lot of these new school coaches, just let's say they see like Kuba and they're like, right, so he's checking all these factors. Well, I'm going to do that too. Where I would see it as, right, so I have a client, let's say my client is working shift patterns. They do night and days, right? So I'm going to ask him to track sleep because that matters. That's important. Now, if I have a client that, we're on a fat loss diet, well, I might track the steps. You pick and choose what you want to track. You don't just track everything, because I think that can be overkill. So I think
you're very right. Some of it's just a gimmick. Oh, my client wants me to check my blood glucose. My coach wants me to check my blood glucose 3 times a day before meals. Like, he must be good. He's doing all this work, when really he's just causing you more work for no real benefit. You see, so there's that side as well.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't enjoy it. It would piss me off. Like, if Hilly was saying to me, I want to do it, I'd tell him get fucked. I wouldn't do that. Like, bodybuilding to me is. I know you do, and that's cool, and that's the best thing about it, isn't it? Some people and I've got clients. I'm not gonna say actually, but there are people who I have clients who want to do this sort of stuff, and they'll say so and so's doing this, my mate's doing that, and that's cool. But for me personally, I just wouldn't want to do it. It takes away for what the raw beauty of what I love bodybuilding is, which is me slanging tin, dieting fucking hard, being accountable, checking in on Friday, looking at my progress, getting excited to show Hilly what I've done this week. That's what it is for me. It's not a fucking science experiment to be understanding every single bit of biofeedback within my body, because I think what will happen is it becomes paralysis by analysis. You start overthinking things, very similar to the logbook narrative with training.
Yeah.
It kills the fun of it.
I think.
Sorry, go on, lads.
Go on. I was gonna say, I think like for a lifestyle client, no chance. Like, I don't check. None of my clients do the mad everyday login. That's what I do for Martin. But generally, I wouldn't say it's healthy for someone who's got like body confidence issues, checking the weight every day. I don't think that's healthy. But I think if you're okay with that, then I think it's not bad because you can see the average weekly drop when you're dropping, where you're more on checking day compared to midweek. And that way, you take the average from the week. You're not taking just your checking weight. That's the big benefit.
Wins are smart, especially if it's a client that you kind of doubt whether they're sticking to the plan, because that way it's easier to work out if they're sticking to the diet. But stuff like blood glucose, like for example, when I started that new growth protocol, I was measuring my blood sugar because that had a purpose. But like I'm like a month in now, so there's no point. It's exactly the same every fucking morning now. So what's the point in me checking it all the fucking time?
Yeah, exactly. And like what Dick said, you then get clients being like, oh no, Hilly, I need to speak to you today, what's wrong? Oh, my blood glucose has gone from 4.3 to 4.7. Oh, I've woke up and it's 5.3. Oh, did you have a bad night's sleep? Yeah. Oh, that's why. And it's like, they're now creating problems in their head where there is no problems, because fact of the matter is, if you have a bad night's sleep, your blood pressure will likely go up and your blood glucose will likely go up. If you were dehydrated one day because your podcast ran over and you were stressful at work and you had a 12-hour shift, your blood glucose likes spike. No one cares. Like, that is not a relevant bit of data. So it is causing you stress for no reason because it is just a one-off reading. Do you know what I mean? So like Dick very rightly says, it can end up causing more problems than needed. So for me, if there's a change in drugs, if there's a change in goal, if there's a change in diet, then you might start tracking this stuff short term. And then like Dick says, right, your blood glucose is fine, your blood pressure's fine, nothing's changing, there's no point in checking it. All right, now actually we're going to change the way we're dosing your growth. We're going to change the way your food is. We're going to change the goalposts. Let's just make sure it doesn't negatively impact it. Okay, we're good. There's no need to keep checking all the time. It's simple.
Yeah.
Next one.
Next question.
Why do you think, and I don't think any of us have said this, but why do you think American amateurs are so elite compared to the UK amateurs? I don't remember me saying this ever.
Are they fucking mad? Have you seen the pro cards given out in America?
I was going to say,
About 700 pro cards, bro, every month there.
Look, there's more people in America. The pool of athletes is bigger, so there's more people competing in America. So overall,
bro, one state is like 10 times the size of England.
Yeah. So
I mean,
by just proportionally, just by percentage, you're going to get more better bodybuilders, but it doesn't mean that like the quality is higher. I think guys in the UK diet harder. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to describe it is the quality is not better. There is just more of the quality because there's more people.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way.
I would even go as far to say the average quality is lower. You just have, due to the population, the upper echelon are better in terms of our upper echelon. But if you look at the pro cards in somewhere like the national show, especially in Classic, half these guys that they've been to the gym for 12 months. I'm not even joking, 12 months, 16 months, and they're getting pro cards. So I just think, like you said, Judge, it's a numbers game, but I don't think the average quality is better at all. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Because like if you look at Iran, Hadi Chupan, like the only bodybuilder there, and he smokes everyone in America more or less. So you know what I mean? It's not about the quantity; it's about the quality, isn't it?
Yeah. Who made these low dose cycles popular in the UK? The top American coaches would laugh their asses off at 300 tests and 1 gram of Primo. That's a Victor Black thing.
Yeah.
That there is a Dr. Dean, aka use 1 pound per 15 kilo muscle mass times by your shit weight, your shit on the scale, bro. Load of bollocks.
Judley's right. It's very much a Victor Black thing. That very much so.
But Hilly, Victor Black does it right, but then you see, I'm not cussing Dr. Dean. The guy makes some good supplements, but he's one coming up with these mad ratios. Take 1 milligram per pound of body weight, and then do this, do that, low dosage. It's a lot of that as well, bro. I mean,
he copied that. They all got that from that Broderick Jarvis. But the people, I think, like always, people then take it too far. So I watched the podcast Broderick did on it, and what he said is there are ranges, and there's no medical numbers to it at all. People pull these numbers and they say it's like as if it's science, and they're just reaching and pulling it out of their ass, right? But he is a very knowledgeable, very clever, very qualified guy who has been around it a long time. So the podcast I listened to, he just came out with what he feels is a general range for beginners, intermediates, and advanced. But he also explained that those numbers can drastically go up or go down depending on genetic response, depending on the individual and what's going on. So,
And you
and
kind
they
of
are good numbers. They are good
Right.
ranges. Do you know what I mean? Like they do make sense to a bit, but he specifically said these are just average
Days?
guidelines based on what
What are you? Have you just done anything on the laptop?
But nowhere near like what that Victor Black came out with.
My internet's just gone.
Yeah. And the thing is,
Everybody
Broderick
jumped
is
on
kind of, he's about right, because he kind of says like about 20 milligrams per kilo. So 20, yeah. So let's say if you're 100 kilos, 2 grams, you know. So that's about right. But he kind of says like you use the right compounds for what you're looking to do. You know, he's not saying 300 meter test. He is saying you pick the compounds based on your needs.
Yeah, but he is a fan. He does say he doesn't like to take testosterone much either for the 400 milligrams. He feels that is all you need, Broderick, and then he likes to use other drugs. But it was more his milligram ranges, I think, were 3 to 5 for a first timer, 5 to 10. No, was it 3 to 5 for a first timer, 5 to 10 for sort of first time intermediate, 10 to 20 for like intermediate up to advanced, and then 20 to whatever you need for. And to be fair, I actually think those are pretty sound numbers because for me, for a beginner, I would go 3 to 5
as an average.
And then for me, beginner moving into competing into intermediate use, 5 to 10, 5 to 12, and then I class anybody that's really competing as an intermediate upwards user. So you're looking at sort of 10 to 15, 10 to 20. And then I usually always sit around that 2 gram mark when I'm competing, maybe 2.2, 2.5. So again, I would class myself as intermediate to upwards of advanced. So that sort of range tends to be where I fall. So I do agree with those numbers as a guideline. But as we all know, some people will get away with less and some people just need fucking more. And then there's that external factor I always say. Some people just fucking want to use more. And who are we to tell them they can't? Do you know?
And I think the big downfall of that method, the milligram per body weight, is you can tell someone, right, you're only using 400 tests and the rest has got to come from another compound. Well, they might use 600 mg a tren. 600 mg a tren's not the same as 600 mg a primo. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's still a rough equation, isn't it? It's not a certain equation.
It's for me, I'm a fan in the sense of it's a great place to start and it's a good sort of guideline. But again, and like I say, from my own personal experience and with clients, that seems to be where I sort of start falling and have done for the last decade. So there is a lot, and again, he specifically states this is just a guideline of where I've seen over the years, and most people I think do agree, do you know what I mean? Because it's logical and it's sensible and it seems to run in a trend, but there will always be outliers, and I think for me the problem is you then got all these coaches working every client cycle out based on those numbers. Or you were at this level, we can start you at 5 mg, we can only work you up to 10 mg, that's where you need to be, as if it's like medical fucking literature that's come out with scientific studies. It hasn't. And I think that's where then the problem is developed. You're a first timer, you can only take 3 mg. Oh, you're an intermediate, you can go up to 10 mg. Oh, you've just passed into advanced, you can only go. That's fucking nonsense.
I think the problem as well is when you see people post, oh, I only did 3 milligrams per body weight and I came second. No one gives a fuck, bruv. No one cares. Like, no one gives a fuck. Did you win? Oh, you didn't. Okay, no one cares, bruv.
No, we kind of frown upon a lot of the. You know, when you're like a bro comes up to you and says like, "Oh, what's the best second cycle? Like, what's the best third cycle?" And you're like, "Bro, there's no such thing." But there is, because I think back in the day we used to be like, right, first cycle test only, Second cycle, test an oral. Third cycle, test an oral and DECA, for example. And I think that's a good way to do it, because you find out what that cycle does, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then you're like, right, testing DECA doesn't work for me. I'm not going to use that again. I think that's a good way of doing it, because then everyone's different, right? So me and Dec, for example, we prefer higher testosterone cycle. I feel great on higher testosterone than I would on, say, test and DECA.
Whoever asks this question, I would suggest they go on YouTube and type in Derek more plates, more dates, and the title of the video is "How do people metabolize steroids?" And there's a fantastic, and it's an amazing graph he's done with multiple case studies on how everybody responds differently to 150 meg, I think up to 600 meg a test. And effectively, some people will respond completely differently to 600 milligrams as others will to 150 meg. So like ultimately you cannot set, in my opinion, a milligram per pound benchmark. Like Hilly said, it's a good guideline, but for some people, they will just have to run it a lot higher than others.
Yeah. So yeah, use it as a guide, but it's not
not set in stone, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What is your current training split? I do a bro split. I tried to go back to a push-pull leg for a bit, but I just prefer the bro split for me. That just works.
I do like the bro split myself.
Yeah, I do like a push, pull, legs, arms, but then my legs will rotate between quad and hams, and I'll take a rest day. The only reason I swapped that quite a few months ago now is just because I really want to focus on bringing my calves up, so I put calves on the arm day. And that's a weird day for me, especially when I'm dieting. It sounds really silly, but when my output's lower in the session, I kind of get like a little bit of a refeed. Like I feel a little bit fuller the next day. Does that make sense? Even though I'm on such low food, where my output is lower, I just feel very fresh, and that rolls into the next day, which is a rest day. By the time I'm back into training, I feel great.
Dex admitted that he's prepping for a show.
I'm not prepping for a show.
It's all right. It's right.
Cardio. If you do fasted cardio, do you do abs and calves first?
I do abs. I've mentioned it on before. Like I've been hammering my abs since my last show in, and I do them pre-workout every other session. So I'll do like crunches and then leg raise work.
If you're going to do fasted cardio, would you do calves and abs beforehand?
I would now.
If I was doing calves, I would do calves beforehand. For me, at the moment, I do abs 3 or 4 times of the week, and I did this right the way through prep. When I do cardio, and I do it after cardio. There's no.
You know what? This is actually quite interesting. Something interesting. I heard Phil Viz say. He says he has all of his clients do abs and calves first before fasted cardio to use up all the excess blood glucose.
Glycogen, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So I just do that. So whether it's bro science or it's actually effective.
Well, it makes sense.
It does.
That also then comes back to why I still like people to do post-workout cardio and prep. I know there's a real English thinking of don't do anything that will impact your recovery. If walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes impacts your recovery, there's something fucking wrong with your body. I'll tell you that right now. Right?
I used to like doing post-workout cardio. It was one of my favourites.
And not just that. 90% of the biggest bodybuilders in the world, you can find videos of Jay Cutler, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, all doing Nasser El Sambati, all doing cardio on a bike post-workout. And then you've got some 13-stone kid in an Ultraflex gym in England saying, don't do cardio post-workout, it'll impact your recovery. Like, it's the most stupid. Like, if you're doing HIT sprints and that, then yes, definitely don't. But if you think walking on an incline for 20 or 30 minutes or sitting on a bike for 20 or 30 minutes is affecting your recovery or muscle gains, you've got a serious issue. Unless potentially you are a 260-pound athlete on stage. But again, Dorian Yates was that big, Nasser El Sambati was that big, Jay Cutler was that big. Didn't seem to do them any harm at all. So I think it's mind-blowing.
And also, post-workout, your heart rate's already elevated, so you haven't got to spend 10 minutes getting your heart rate up.
Exactly.
Heart rate's already up. Exactly. So I always put my clients on post-workout cardio.
Yeah.
Always, and me.
I split it, evenly, morning and night, yeah.
my current training split is something that AJ's had me on for a bit now. So he has me do chest on a Monday with touch-up delts, arms on a Tuesday, legs on a Wednesday, which is something I would probably normally do anyway, because I see legs as a bit like an active rest day before legs, like they say. Thursday is a rest day, and for me, Thursdays and Sundays have been rest days for years and years. Friday is delts with touch-up chest, and then Saturday is back. So that's been my split for the last year. But what I have done now is I really need to give my glutes more focus because of my slip discs and a little break in my back. I have avoided glutes for a while because everything gives them grief, but I need to stop doing that really. So and I still need more delts and I still need more chest because of my tongue pec. I've negated that for a bit as well, to be honest, and legs and back are my strong points. So I've created my own little adjustment on that split now. So what I am currently doing is on a Monday, I do 3 failure sets of glutes. Then I do some additional delt work, just side laterals. Then I move to chest. The reason that I do it that way is I only train this left pec because this one, there's basically only 10% left attached. So it doesn't, so that sits well there because chest for me isn't really a demanding session. So I'm only training the one side. Arms is arms and calves. And again, there's no glute work or anything on there because I'm then rolling into legs. My leg session has a little bit more glute specific type of pressing. So I'm doing closer feet, higher feet, leg press, split squats, hack squats at a higher rep range to see if I can get away with it on my back. Rest Thursday. Friday is delts with additional chest. And then Saturday is back, but I am also doing some glute work on the Saturday. So I'm actually now hitting glutes 3 times a week.
Do you know my favourite split is actually 6 days on, 1 day off. I know it's 6 days, you think all 6 days, but actually it goes like quads on a Monday, chest on Tuesday, back on Wednesday, Thursday is arms, Friday is hamstrings, Saturday is delt, Sunday off. But my arm and delt sessions are like active rest day because arms is like easy, right? It's just pump. And on delts is exactly the same. I don't press on my delt days, so I'll do just like maybe 12 to 15, maybe up to, high, like a lot of sets for side delts. And I do front delts, so I do like front raises. I quite like front raises, and I'll just do some like rear delts, maybe some traps. So it's not really intense. So really, the way I think of it is like 4 hard sessions.
Yeah,
because I used to do back, chest, quads, shoulders, hamstring, arms, Sunday off, and I like that. At the moment, I'm doing push pull legs off, push pull arms, and that's working quite well. It's not really push because I'm not really doing, you know what I mean? Pull, chest and shoulders, and then it's legs, and then I'll repeat it, and then I add the arm day at the end.
So that previous split is basically what I'm doing now.
Yeah, basically exact same. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that since like probably October last year, and then after prep, because I went through all that same split in prep, and then I thought, well, I'm going to switch it to push pull legs. I did it for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm not feeling that. I went back to my old split, and I just prefer that. Yeah, it's 6 days. You're in the gym 6 days, but like those arm workouts are like half an hour long.
Yeah, you just bang them out quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not taking ages doing fucking biceps,
Bro, I don't. My arm day, I fucking hammer mine. Like I try to make it as intense, as lengthy as like my other sessions. Like I did arms and calves tonight, and I was in there for 90 minutes still. But the difference in my arms, how much they responded, comparable just to touching them on the end of like push and back days, is fucking nuts. Like even just the strength increase over time is ludicrous when they get their attention. I'm just not.
To train arms, like some people have like visibly lagging arms. Like for me, like I don't strictly need to train arms, but I enjoy training arms. Actually, I enjoy an arm day, so I just do it anyway.
So I don't like arm day.
Really, I love
See,
an arm day. It's my
I
favorite
don't
day.
like it, bro.
I've got
No,
quite good arms, but I was just thought like you can never have too big arms. Like they always look sick. When someone's got like crazy arms, it always looks good. So I thought I'll just
Yeah.
hammer him as hard as I do legs to try and make him as weird as possible.
You see your arms in every shot as well, pretty much.
Yeah.
I like an arm day. And technically, like sometimes just how you phrase it right. So like the split arm doing there, chest with additional delts and some glutes. I could call that a push day. Then I could say I'm doing arms, then a leg day, then a rest day, then a push day, then a pull day. I could say my splits push, pull, legs, arms, vary. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the time you're doing the same shit. You just depends what you fucking call it.
Yeah.
Posterior delt, focused
Yeah.
hamstrings, top up. What a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
With my arms,
it's
I
just-
always superset. That's because I've tried to like do a bicep exercise, then a tricep exercise, then I'll do 3 bicep exercises back to back, then I'll do my triceps, and I find a superset is the best way to do it for me.
I always start with a superset to warm up my joints, my tendons, my elbows.
Yeah.
Then I do prefer to go biceps, triceps, biceps, triceps, biceps.
I like that too.
Personally, for me, go tit for tat with it.
Yeah, maybe triceps.
For mine,
Yeah,
I do 3 sets. Like I do 3 sets of biceps on a straight bar on a cable of 20, and I do 3 sets of tricep pull downs of 20. It's like an isolation move just to get some blood into
Yeah.
them. Then I move on to like heavy hammer curls and easy bar curls for biceps. Then I do an overhead press with a dumbbell for triceps, and then tricep dips. And then I finish on 2 lots of super drop sets for both biceps and then triceps, normally on cables again.
Yeah.
Well, that takes you 90 minutes to do.
And calves, of course, as well.
Yeah, and that takes
But,
an hour and a half.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
You train your calves that much. So why are they? Why are your
Bro,
calves?
Bro, don't talk about my calves, all right, mate?
You
Right.
are the weakest link.
The
Do
most.
you know the worst thing is? I've been fucking hammering. I still look at them and I go, what the fuck is going on, man?
Do you know
Like, it's
what?
nuts.
Last year, I spent about 4 months proper hammering them, heavy, light, everything. They didn't change one bit, so I'm like, well, there's no point. I'm just not going to bother training them. I haven't trained my calves. Like, I never train my calves. And it's boring. It's fucking boring.
It's interesting,
bro,
though. Like, I
When
think
you-
I have a legitimate struggle. Like, I have a legitimate flaw with my muscle connection to my calves. So, like, when I do a calf raise, like, I am strong on them. Like, I'll do on like the standing one, I'll do like 5 plates aside on it, full ROM. But if I touch them, as an example, you know the lower tine of the calf, that I get no tension there at all, like no
Yeah,
flexion at all.
same.
But
I
the
get
upper
none.
part, I get fucking loads. It's just that lower part, I just can't seem to connect very well with it.
I remember.
I
go on.
don't think that machine is that good. You're talking about the Cybex seated calf, is it?
No, it's like a, you know, the one that looked like the seated hack squats.
Oh yeah. Oh
You know,
yeah.
one of those ones. Yeah,
Oh,
one
that's
of those.
That's like a toe press type thing.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
doing your calf, not stretching it, is actually more beneficial sometimes.
yeah.
I was doing calves and I recorded it, and someone was like, "Oh, that's not full ROM." I'm like, "You're like, you got to stretch them fully." I'm like, "No, you're just fucking stressing your Achilles that way."
This is why I bought those Vibrams, do you know, the finger toes trainers.
Yeah.
Because I found if I was training my calves in any sort of trainers, I didn't get the same connection as I did training in bare feet. But if I train in bare feet, I seem to get pain in the bottom of my feet. So the only reason I initially bought them stupid looking Vibram finger toe shit is because when I train calves in them, I get a much better contraction and feel. Because it lets me, you've got so many bones in your feet, it lets them manoeuvre much better and grip the floor. But if I train in bare feet, for some reason I get an awful pain in the arch of my foot.
Tell you what's a really good calf machine. Me and Matt just changed gyms. We're joined the 3rd gym now, and me and Matt
Why
were
did
talking.
you not join another gym, Riz?
Bro, this is the gym that we've joined is a big health club in our area, right? It's called Clifford's. And we were like, me and Matt were both talking, like, strip it back to basics, yeah? They've got every single hammer strength piece of kit in that gym, literally every angle, chest press, every single pull. It's all hammer, yeah. They've got about 20 cables, yeah. They've got the Cybex hack. They've got the hip press. They've got the normal hammer strength press. They've got a pendulum. They've got the hammer strength toe press. They've got about 10 fucking power racks, bro. And just to go somewhere where you can do your whole entire workout and smash every single angle, and not have to think, oh yeah, if we were at a different gym, or we're not having to like change machines to make it work. Do you know what I'm trying to say, bro?
Yeah.
So we're just changing it up, like, and it's 250 for the whole year. They got a sauna, they got all that shit.
Right,
cardio
you and
room's
Bomber are
massive.
fucking lying. You're just hunting around birds in that sauna. I know exactly what you feel like.
Nah. Listen, I can't lie, and me and Barmer agreed today. The hammer strength kit, bruv, yeah, that's based on one fucking pivot point. It's not got 25 fucking rails on it. It just hits the best consistently. All the machines, they just hit.
Well, I said that, didn't I? When I was in Spain there, I went to that Titan gym, and it was just kitted out with all of the really good hammer strength stuff. And as I went through a few sessions, I messaged you boys, didn't I? I was like, do you know what it is? You just can't fall off with a gym that is kitted top to bottom with hammer strength stuff.
All hammer.
If you've got a gym that's got all of the good hammer strength stuff, you can have a good workout for every body part. You know, you're never going to fall off, in my opinion.
The thing is, people, I really like Cybex. But I think the issue is if you had a whole entire gym.
I'm sure it's got some decent bits, but it's also got some really shit bits. But it's just like anything, like the hammer strength hack squat. It's absolutely fucking dog shit, you know. It's one of them things that no one brand makes just good bits or just shit bits. Like every brand's and shit bits.
I think the overall range, if you had to choose one brand, Hammer Strength has got the biggest range of good kit.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
You know where Hammer Strength lost? It's sad, really, because Hammer Strength lost how popular it was because of the fakes. Everyone was buying fakes, they were replicating it, and people were buying like the Japanese copies of the stuff, and they feel fucking awful. And you were going around multiple gyms and you think, this decline press don't feel right, this incline press don't feel right. But they're all copies. They weren't legitimate hammer strength. You go to an OG gym, they feel fucking fantastic.
Bro, the DY row, yeah, the proper one. Fucking hell. What a
I like
machine,
that. I like that hip press you talk about. That hammer strength hip press.
That's
you get strong on that,
yeah.
you're having big quads. Like there's no two ways about it.
Do you know they've Hammer Strength? They've got the seated calf press. That there has got to be my favorite calf machine. I'll start training calves again. It's that nice. I
might start fucking pinning my mate with fucking Simple because I'm sick of the bastards.
Yeah, when you train them right, it fucking hurts as well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Are we done?
Questions.
Let's do one more question. Then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, how do you pass the time on cardio?
Do you know what I normally do, to be totally honest, right? I was saying this to someone the other day, because my job is so nutrition, bodybuilding, training, drugs, and then especially when I'm in prep, you're thinking about the same things, you end up watching YouTubes about the same things. My whole world becomes engulfed in the same shit, right? And sometimes you just need a mental break. So what I've done in my last few preps is I've picked like really stupid kiddie stuff. So when I was a kid, I watched Dragon Ball Z, I watched Pokemon. So the last few preps, I've picked something that's got any amount of episodes that are about 30 minutes long. And not this prep I've just done, but the one before, I think I watched all the Pokemon episodes, the one before that, all the gym. Just something that was a complete shut off from bodybuilding. Because what I found myself doing is waking up at 4:30, doing client stuff, all diet, training, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to the gym and I'm watching a bodybuilding podcast. Then I'm coming home and I'm doing work, and then it was just never ending for me. So for me, I would watch something completely unrelated that was just a very big mental release to pass the time.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I watch
TikTok.
I watch Rocky.
I just go on TikTok. I reply to fucking comments, people giving me abuse on there, and that passes the time normally.
I put like a series on, like every prep I'll start like something I've already watched as well, like Power as an example, or like Breaking Bad. So it takes the whole prep up. But the other side of it is, I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a couple of kiddies prepping in a very local gym to me, and this kind of, it was just a thought I had. Like, I treat my cardio like a working set. Like, I legitimately get fucking after it when I do my cardio. And like, you watch some of these kids plod along their texting. No offense, I'm not saying you do this, Dave, because you're on TikTok or whatever. Like, plodding along texting, they could read a fucking book, they could probably have a snack halfway through it. Like, there's a reason those people don't get in shape. It's because there is zero effort. Like, they're running like 100 beats per minute on their fucking cardio, but like, the lack of effort I see across the gyms and doing cardio, like that is the reason they're not burning fat. Like, that's ultimately it. Like, treat them like you're on a working set. Like, put some effort into it.
What I used to, yeah.
Sorry, there was a kid, just to agree with that, there was a kid near me who was competing because he was in the gym, and there's so many people, Deck, like you're right, not just in the bodybuilding or whatnot. You see them on the treadmill and they're doing the most slowest. They're walking slower on that treadmill than they would be if they were outside on the shop. And it's like, they're on a slight incline, they've got their hands on the handle. I'm like, listen, like, I'm not a fan of having cardio giving you a super high heart rate, but for me, you need to be 115, 120 beats per minute.
Sweating.
Sort of 130. Yeah, it needs to be a fucking workout. If I want you to do steps, I'll just say do fucking steps. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I keep mine at 140. 140 is the Matrix. The Matrix Stairmaster is my favorite bit of cardio kit. I spent all my prep doing that. Level 7. And as I started on level 6, then level 7, and level 8 as you get fitter as you go through. And like that keeps my heart rate up. And I find that's actually the easiest way to do cardio as well. Because if I'm on a cross trainer, you kind of have to like consciously think about going harder. Whereas when you're on a cross Stairmaster, it just does it. You just have to kind of,
What I do is when I'm in prep, I play a game with the treadmill. So every minute I put up the incline 1. And then at 20 minutes, I'm on 20. And then I bring it down 1, and then I'm on 40 minutes. And I've done 40 inclines.
I've always done the same. I'll get on, like, as I'm walking, I do, on the gradient, I put it to 10, and I'm at speed 6, and I just walk at that pace. And I'm not even joking. I'll fill the cup holder up with sweat. Like, and that for me is a really good, consistent pace. Like, you are moving enough. Heart rate sits at like 140, 150 for me. And I really think that was a big, like, change in how I got in such shape so quickly last time around compared to my first prep, because I was just doing it a little bit more like lackadaisy, if that makes sense.
I think as your prep goes, I think when you start your prep, start a little bit like just get into it. I do cardio year round, so it don't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Once I get into prep, I'll be like, right, I'm taking it a little bit harder this week and a little bit harder next week, and it just gets harder and harder. But what I end up doing is my biggest problem is in prep, post gym when I get hyped, I start running on the treadmill.
I'm fucking running, bro. Not a chance.
When I started my prep, I was like 275. I couldn't fucking run, or I could, I was on level 4 on a Stairmaster. My fucking heart rate was like 150. It's like, when you start heavy, you've got to start light anyway.
Mate, I was doing cardio this morning, right? Because I'm still only 10 pounds above stage weight, and I'm not taking anything that raises my heart rate now. I could barely get my heart rate up to 130. I was fucking killing it. I was busted ass on that stairs. I was like, fuck.
Fit as a fiddle.
I couldn't get
it
it
over
130.
Sometimes.
Mate, it was awful.
When you do,
I was
fit.
I was almost doing HIT on the stairs just to get the fuck up. It was driving me wild.
Like, it's good to do cardio and to be fit, but it's actually counterproductive for fat loss because you've got to work so much harder.
You get to a point where you get like a certain level of leanness where you really start enjoying cardio. Like, it's a little bit sadistic. Like you really start like zoning into it. Like, this is fun. I can get another couple more minutes out of this. You know what I mean?
I'm fit now. It's not killing me. I'm not a fat.
Yeah, exactly. I'll keep going at this. Yeah. I'm fucking Tour de France on my bike in the morning. I'd say that, mate. You will see me go.
Do you not find it sometimes in prep and like you're in like 6 weeks out? Yeah, I'm a bit of a nut job. I start watching shit on like YouTube, like bodybuilding motivation. Yeah, and I just I start running, bro. I start doing proper like, high intensity cardio, bro. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, I need to chill out. The rocket comes on, and I start running up the hill.
Into my last prep, I used to have Ronnie Coleman just shouting in my ear, "Yeah, buddy," for 60 minutes. You know that film on fucking Spotify?
Yeah, but
It's mid prep feeling when you're like still really good. You've got energy still. Your food is still decently high, but you're not fat anymore.
yeah,
That's like the best.
it's
Yeah.
a good spot to be in. Yeah,
I
it's a
think-
good spot to be in.
The worst part of prep is them like first 4 to 6 weeks where you're like, it's coming off, but you can't really see it, sort of thing. Do you know what I
You
mean?
need to
Like,
find your stride, don't you? When you get that stride, body fat's at that level where you start seeing, like, I'm at that point now where, like, every other day you're starting to see those changes, like new lines.
I
new
told you he's
striations coming.
prepping.
Well, I'm not
I
prepping.
told you he's prepping.
I always say to people, the first 3 or 4 weeks of a diet or a prep are the worst because you end up looking worse.
Yeah.
You haven't a restrict food, but you are flatter because your food is down.
I'm
But you're still
fatter.
fat. Yeah, but you're still fat, so you actually look worse because you've
Mhm.
got no volume, you've got less volumization. I've got clients like, I look worse. I'm like, you're going to. You're not eating all the food to fill you up, you know. You're having to restrict, you know, the nice foods. So you feel as if you're dieting, but you almost look worse in the mirror. You've got to just dig in for that 4 weeks to get past
Yeah.
that. I'm going to kill my cat. That's what
I like that cat. I'm going to have him.
He's a fucking monster, mate.
I've got my
she's
fucking
weird.
dog like sleeping here. She's like fucking knocked out.
Oh,
He's jumping at the door. He's jumping at the door to open the door because he wants more food. He wants to go get in my bed. Little shit.
Mate, Hilly's cat lures you into false sense of security. Like, he acts like he's nice, and then the cunt just bites you. I'm like, what are you doing, you fucking mad bastard?
they're love bites. They're love bites. He did them to me.
Yeah. Is that us done, boys?
I think that's
Yeah.
a wrap.
Yeah, but that was a good one, lads. I've enjoyed that as
Yeah,
always.
Sorry for
Give
that
it-
one, Caps.